Hey, it's Katie. Today we're going to be talking about A List of Cages by Robin Rowe. This book was amazing. 10 out of 10. I definitely heard a lot of great things before I read it, and so I trusted them and I got it, and I'm so glad that I did because this book was an incredible read that fought between two characters' points of view that were so well articulated and just amazingly done. If you plan on getting this book, if you're at a bookstore that has this book, or if you know someone who has this book, I need you to do me a favor and just feel the cover. Feel this. I did not know that a book cover being this smooth mattered until I felt this book cover and knew what I'd been missing my whole life. I literally made at least 5 people who walked into the common room feel the cover of this book. They were similarly impressed. So A List of Cages is split between the points of view of these two characters, Adam and Julian. Adam is like a senior in high school, and he lives with his mom, who's a social worker, and he's that popular guy who's popular because he's so nice and fun and just like genuinely cares about everyone and makes everyone feel appreciated, and you can't help but love him. And then Julian was Adam's foster brother for about 8 months, 5 years ago, after the death of his parents. Adam's mother became Julian's caseworker and ended up becoming his foster mother and stuff, and so he came home with them. And then all of a sudden one day they got in contact with one of his uncles by marriage, his other case, like his caseworker that was in charge of it, did. And all of a sudden, the uncle decided that he wanted to take him in, and they never heard from him again. They weren't able to get any contact information. The uncle said he needed a fresh start, and that was it, and that they have not seen him in 5 years. Until one day, Adam becomes like this school guidance counselor, psychologist type student aide, and is sent to go fetch Julian, who's been skipping his appointments. And they kind of snowball back into each other's lives, and Adam is kind of trying to bring Julian back into his life and get him to hang out with his friends and see what it can look like to be happy and let yourself live. And Julian is kind of confused as to all these things that he has been hearing differently about from his uncle, and he's kind of been a loner and felt kind of trapped by society and since forever, and he's kind of alone in the world. So it is amazing for Adam to suddenly become a huge part of it again and be his best friend, even though he's so much cooler and has so many friends. I really enjoyed this book. It always kind of kept me guessing, even though I really didn't expect it from this type of novel. It just kept getting more complex, and the characters all had a lot of depth. Even the side characters had more than one trait. We have these minor characters that we're so used to oh, that's the funny friend and that's the hot friend, and you know who they are in books, but they don't matter. They're just there because the protagonist can't be friendless if that's not the whole theme of the book. But in this one, even if they weren't a main character, they were a developed character, and you cared about them, and I'm Charlie, and it was just, I think it was a really well developed book, and it attacked a lot of really deep, jarring themes. It kind of dealt with grief and the way that Julian was still processing that even years after he lost his parents, and a lot of darker themes that I don't really want to talk about now because this is spoiler free, but it was definitely a lot more than I could ever have asked for out of something like this. And I think it was especially poignant because it was from 2 male teenagers' points of view, which is so rare. I feel in kind of more serious books that attack darker themes like this, I definitely think I've read a lot more of them from female protagonists, and I think it was really nice to get that other side, because it's so important that guys who are like readers or just in the world like need that representation, and also people who aren't going through that need to understand that that is something that happens to guys, on top of the fact that like obviously it was just like a really nice literary change. But I think that the impacts that it can mean for society when we have books like this becoming a huge part of popular culture are really, really important, and I'm really, really excited about it. So that is it for the non-spoiler section. Definitely go check out this book. I'll have the links below, of course, like always, and just really enjoy this book. Let me know if you were like screaming and crying as much as I was in like the last third of the book, if you do. I really enjoyed reading this book. I loved Adam and Julian's dynamic. I loved just how sweet, how kind and caring of a human that Adam was, and Julian too. And like I just like have this like headcanon of them in the future, and they're like going to bed or whatever, and Adam's like, okay, now it's your turn to do the bedtime story, write me something good. And like, I don't know, just like him always being like Julian's sounding board for writing, and like maybe Adam coming to Julian for like some dumb advice that he doesn't actually need. But he's like, oh my god, what do I get Emerald for her birthday? And Julian's like, you've known her forever. You get her birthday presents every year. And he's like, but I just, you know, I love the idea of them in the future, like once they've healed. Emerald tried my life with this fake boyfriend of hers. I can't. I did not see that one coming. I mean, not that big of a plot twist, but still, I really loved in this scene where Adam is arguing that he's like been in a fight before, and they're like, getting smacked in the face with the Harry Potter book does not qualify as a fight. First of all, it wasn't just any Harry Potter book. It was Order of the Phoenix. Matt gasps. He knows that Order of the Phoenix is the longest and most potentially dangerous of all of the Harry Potter books when used as a weapon. I was in Duncan with my friends while I was reading this, and they were trying to study, and I just could not shut up laughing because I loved how, with this book, Robin Rowe kind of like when addressing the things that Julian was facing, made it feel very real, kind of showed like how sometimes people just don't understand that what's happening to them is wrong, especially when they're like a little bit brainwashed, desensitized. I thought it was really, really profound the way that like you could genuinely see like this is the way that he interprets the situations. And I thought it was just a really well-written piece, and I loved that it could attack those really important issues while still having real life along the way. You have like someone like Charlie who's just like kind of struggling and frustrated, and you have things as simple as like, oh, it's a play and I am having a really hard time memorizing my lines, like I just can't, which obviously isn't like a small issue, but it's just not like, it's something where the serious things of life affect the kind of day-to-day, and I just really loved it. I loved Adam's mom. I loved the way that she treated Julian, and like I thought the book was really honest, especially after Julian was hospitalized and Adam was mad at Emerald, and he didn't mean to be, but like he just like intrinsically couldn't help that like he felt like she was at fault for stopping him from reporting it, and like he didn't want to, and like he loves her, but like he just couldn't, like at that point like his guilt and his rage at what had happened just kind of overpowered that love for a little bit. And I thought that that was very real, and like obviously it was frustrating because like, you know, Emerald didn't mean to, and she was trying really hard to like be there for him, but that's real. That's how humans work. We get upset and we don't always forgive people immediately, and sometimes bad things happen in ways that we can't cope with in the right way. And I really, really loved it. I love the idea of Adam's mom maybe walking Julian down the aisle, or Adam walking Julian. Okay, either of those I'm on board with. I really liked reading from Julian's point of view because you have this protagonist who's like a little bit more immature than you would expect, because he's never really had that chance to grow up in the situation that he's in, living with this heinous uncle, and but he still is so brilliant and so like thoughtful, and every time he speaks, I have my highlighter out, like just because he just says the most profound things, and it's which I think is very true to like people who are suffering, even if they're not all that old, like kind of their life just spills out of them in the way that they speak, and whatever their medium of like art or expression is. If they're like an artist, maybe it's in their paintings and drawings, or if they're an actor, maybe it's in the way they carry themselves. If they're a scholar, maybe it's in the drive that they put into their science experiments, like whatever it is. And for Julian, that is words, whether it's written or spoken. And I really, really loved that. So all in all, totally loved this book a lot more than I thought I was going to. 10 out of 10, really good. Links below. Have a good one.